Oops, better take Cole off the curse wheel. Welcome to the dumbest power ranking show, week 15 here on That's Good Sports. I'm your football team wheel spinner, Brandon Perna, and today I will spin the curse wheel at the end of the episode to see which team gets the curse. Last week it selected the 49ers, and I will tell you why the curse may have actually succeeded. This is the current NFL playoff picture, and now that there are just 4 weeks left in the football season, I have to extend my power rankings to its full and appropriate number of 14. Since, 14 teams will eventually make the dance. Number 14, I've got the Patriots. 3 AFC teams currently have 7-6 records. The Pats, the Chargers, and the Jets. The Patriots, after defeating the Kyler-less Cardinals on Monday Night Football, now own the 7th and final wildcard spot ahead of the Chargers and Jets. Why do I have the Pats so low? Their offense. It's boring. It's excruciating to watch, and Mac Jones has the exact same amount of touchdown passes this season as Baker Mayfield at 7. The difference, though, Jones has thrown 2 more picks than Baker and does indeed have more picks than touchdowns. The strength of the Patriots is their defense, but that unit has been up and down all season long, appearing utterly dominant at times while also giving up over 30 points to the Ravens, Vikings, and Bears. Number 13, the Commanders. I wanted to put the Seahawks here, but the Panthers just pounced you. The Commanders sat on their arses Sunday and watched as their playoff chances got higher and Taylor Heineke got drunker, presumably on Busch Light. Number 12, I've got the Ravens. The Ravens are the 12th best team, I guess. As long as the defense keeps making 12 points very hard to score, Baltimore can be a very confusing team heading into the playoffs. In the last 4 games, they have given up 14-9, 28 to the Jags and 3 points. If Lamar Jackson returns this week or next week, I want to see Baltimore lean on J.K. Dobbins in the run game. He ripped the Steelers for 120 yards. That was his first game with more than 44 rushing yards this season. He's been the missing piece while Lamar has been in at QB, and if those two can get cooking, maybe the Ravens offense will look like it did the first couple weeks of the season. Number 11 is the Jets. The Jets defense is, in my opinion, second to only the 49ers right now. 6th in points per game allowed at 18.4, 3rd in total yards allowed, and 4th in passing yards allowed. Here's what's killing them: offensive turnovers. 10 picks and 7 fumbles given away this season, which gives them a negative turnover differential. Even the great Mike White tossed 2 picks in that Vikings game, which was ultimately too many. I think Mike White is the answer moving forward, at least for this season. The offense works infinitely better with him behind center, but that will all depend on his ability to be safe with the football while also having that offense going in the right direction. Today's episode is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. If you want to test your skills against me in weekly fantasy leagues, download the Underdog app or go to underdogfantasy.com and use my code THATSGOOD. There is a link in the description to join this week's fantasy contest against me. Details to join are in the description, but they're usually 10-person, 6-round drafts that start as soon as the league fills. And you can start drafting in the Gauntlet, which is Underdog's best ball playoff tournament. And if you want to use your brain for the pick'em games and live in one of the qualifying states, you can win up to 20 times your money. Build a pick'em entry with 2 to 5 players and guess higher or lower in stat totals for the week. It's very, very simple. Again, link in the description. Use my code THATSGOOD and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Number 10, falling fast, the Dolphins. I'm not sure the Dolphins have looked as bad on offense as the Chargers made them look Sunday night all season. A game that I believe ended their hopes of competing for the AFC East title. Now, the Dolphins had a 4-game streak of scoring 30 points or more and have now followed it up with back-to-back games of just 17 points. Maybe head coach and Denver native Mike McDaniel was just paying respect to the team from his home state that helped get him into the league. Now, this team is still hamstrung by a rushing attack that's averaging 4.1 yards a carry. They've got the 4th least total rushing yards in the league, although Jeff Wilson seems like he might be the guy to carry the load down the stretch. I don't know if this is a blueprint to beat the Dolphins, but any team that can disrupt their timing by being physical and jamming the receivers at the line of scrimmage with the undersized players in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle should attempt to do so. Hill and Waddle should cover their uniforms in Crisco for the rest of the season to be as slippery as an actual Dolphin, and maybe get Mike Gesicki involved in the passing game. He hasn't had a catch since November 13th, and that's a fucking tragedy. Number 9, the Chargers. I was impressed by the Chargers' ability to keep up with and jam those Dolphin receivers without Derwin James. James, of course, body slammed Travis Kelce earlier this year, and yet Tyreek Hill, while a Chief, was the guy I always wanted to see James do that to. Anyway, Brandon Staley also noted that there's a chance Rashawn Slater returns to the lineup before the end of the regular season. Joey Bosa has a chance to return as well, which would be huge for the Chargers, both on offense and defense. They could get the biggest boost of any team in terms of improving health right before the postseason, which will be perfect timing when the Chargers lose week 18 and don't get in at all. Number 8, it's the Vikings. Oh, the Minnesota Vikings are hilarious. I won't talk like that. They have 10 wins, and yet with their 11-point loss to Detroit, they've dropped back to a negative point differential, getting outscored by exactly 1 point this season. Cue the football nerds saying they're due for regression based on the Pythagorean win model next season. It's probably true, but I don't like nerd speak. Well, I hate when I'm supposed to understand data and info to help make conclusions about shit. No thanks. I'm gonna use my gut like a real man. Not some loser-ass brain thinker. Now, Justin Jefferson is a sneaky candidate for 2,000 yards receiving this season. He's at exactly 1,500 right now. So if he can average 125 yards per game the rest of the year, he'll get there. Jefferson would definitely get it if he faced his own secondary every week. The Vikings pass defense dead ass last in the league, but with games against the Colts, Giants, Packers, and Bears coming up, that sounds like an easy task. However, the Colts and Packers secondary right now, 3rd and 5th best in yards allowed. The Bears are a surprising 11th, so he needs 200 against the Giants. Number 7, I've got the Lions. The Detroit Lions are on fire. They're both good and fun, and maybe the most fun team in all of football, and it's because their offense is great and because their defense gives up too many points. They're exactly what the NFL wants every team to be. I've got a take, though. If the Lions make the playoffs, Jared Goff should win Most Valuable Player. With all due respect to Hurts and Patrick Mahomes and whoever, we haven't had a Lion win MVP since 1997 when Barry Sanders did it. And Goff leading this team to the playoffs would be the equivalent of a 2,000-yard season. 2,000 yards rushing and receiving. If Goff gets this team into the dance, maybe the president should give him a pardon for any future crime he wants to commit.
So focused on the wave, and I said, yeah, that's fine. And I look up and we're throwing it to Perna, and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
Number 6, we've got the Cowboys. According to ESPN's Power Football Index, the Dallas Cowboys have a 29.3% chance to win Super Bowl 57. That's more than double the chance the Eagles are being given at 13.3%. It makes a lot of sense, though, when you remember the Football Power Index has not been updated since 1996. Speaking of, and for all the shit he's gotten, Mike McCarthy is the first Dallas Cowboys head coach to have back-to-back 10-win seasons since 95 and 96 when old Barry Switzer did it. Now, I don't really put a lot of stock into the Texans game. Every good team will have an off day, and I think it's a credit to the Dallas Cowboys that they were able to escape with a victory. They should get some help on offense too with the return of Tyron Smith. They also signed veteran wide receiver T.Y. Hilton, although they now have a giant void to fill at right tackle with Terrence Steele's injury. Number 5, it's the Broncos. It's the Bengals. That was a little bit of wishful thinking. I saw B and I went with it. Oh, what could have been? Let's put it this way. It's the Orange B team. No, not fuck you, Browns. Now, we talk a lot about the Bengals offense, probably because they're really good, but we should give some credit to the Cincy D. Old Mother Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson have combined for 12.5 sacks, but DJ Reader is one of the unsung heroes of this Bengals D. When Reader is on the field, the Cincy Bengals are allowing just 3.4 yards per rush, which is second best in the league. Trey Hendrickson broke his wrist on Sunday, and doctors fear he will never regain full jerk-off torque in that wrist. The good news is he will avoid IR. I say just put a fucking club on that thing and turn it into a legal weapon he can use to bash opposing tackles' heads with. Number 4, it's the Chiefs. Now, I was not impressed by the Chiefs' win on Sunday. Sure, they built a 27-point lead. Sure, Patrick Mahomes did a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar skyhook for a touchdown. But can you explain allowing 28 points to the most disgusting offense the NFL has had the displeasure of ever watching? Huh? Denver might have found Mahomes' kryptonite, and his name is Pat Surtain. Patrick for Patrick. Now, Mahomes has targeted Surtain 6 times in 2 games and come away with 2 receptions for 26 yards and 2 interceptions. I would recommend every team with aspirations of beating the Chiefs get a Patrick Surtain. Get one of your own. In the best and worst episode, I said Mahomes did not play well, but still won. Most of you Chiefs fans I love. I really like our banter. It is one of my favorite things, but some of you are delusional. If you believe throwing 3 picks is good like you told me, I can't help you. Mahomes still made plays, but he was the number 1 reason Denver had a chance to win that game. That's all I'm saying. Number 3, it's the Bills. Sometimes to win a Super Bowl, you have to get creative, and I think that's exactly what the Buffalo Bills just did. Last week, we learned Von Miller, done for the season with an ACL tear. Sucks. So to replace him, the Bills are bringing back a familiar face in Cole Beasley. Beasley had to come out of retirement to join the Bills' practice squad. After losing 2 in a row to the Jets and Vikings, Buffalo has now won 4 straight. None of the wins have been pretty. They tried to send Mike White to the morgue, and now they get the Dolphins on Saturday in prime time. And Miami is reeling, which makes me think they're very dangerous. But if Cole Beasley can come in, get a couple sacks, and bring some consistency to the slot position on offense, then Buffalo is on pace to go all the way this time. Number 2, the 49ers, led by Glock Purdy, who's shooting down defenders. He's more like Debo from Friday than Debo with that nickname. What's really impressive about this team is how resilient they have been in the face of injury. Their top 2 quarterbacks go down and they drop a combined 68 points with Mr. Irrelevant, who's actually now day-to-day with an injury ahead of their Thursday night matchup with Seattle. Josh Johnson, step right up. Jacob Eason, you're on deck. Get ready to score a fuck ton of touchdowns, boys. We'll also see if they can hold down the fort without Debo for a few games, out with an MCL sprain. That Purdy injury, well, that might be attributed to the curse wheel. Okay? But if you can survive, especially with Brandon Ayuk, the versatility of Christian McCaffrey, and for Christ's sake, just throw the ball to George Kittle more than 4 times per game, you'll be all right. Like Gronk, he is great at blocking, but Kyle, you still need to feed him the rock. Speaking of scoring, number 1 is the Eagles. The Eagles are hands down the most complete and dominant team in the NFL, as evidenced by their rout of the Giants on Sunday, adding a cool 48 points to their league-leading output. They also lead the league in sacks now, and we've talked plenty about Jalen Hurts, rightfully so, but Miles Sanders deserves some praise for breaking 1,000 yards last week. First guy to do it since Shady McCoy for the Eagles, making the most of his 204 carries this season. Miles Sanders, love it. Live it, dream it, suck it, fuck it. A.J. Brown is also 55 yards and 1 TD away from matching his career high in Tennessee. And there are 4 games still left in the season. And of those 4 remaining games, Philly's playing 2 teams they've already beaten this season in the Cowboys and the Giants. There's a real chance they become the first team in NFL history to go 16-1. Even if they rest their starters and let the elite backup Gardner Minshew get some snaps in Week 18. Start the Minshew. All right, for this week's curse, let's see who's gonna get taken down. Either this week or next week, we know this little guy's gonna get you. Nothing we can do to stop it. Ooh, it's number 9. And yes, you see there's an 11 there. I took 10 off and put in 11.
These go to 11.
Oh, 9, it's the bolts. Bolts. Bolt up, bolt down. Sorry, Chargers. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. I do football videos pretty much every dang day here. Yesterday, we dropped the best and worst of everything, and tomorrow, who knows what I'll do, but just come back and fucking just come watch my stupid ass videos.